This movie has a lot of blood. Welcome back to Halloween in April again, everybody. That one time a year where we get to do Halloween outside of October. I love it. Nobody acknowledges it except for, I think, Disney Channel. And I don't know if you can tell, but if you're wondering why I look like I just got hit in the face, well...
It's allergy season!
Spring sucks, man. I'm sorry, it sucks. But it's not the only thing that sucks. Today's movie in the middle is Abigail. Abigail is the newest horror movie about a group of kidnappers who capture and keep hostage a little girl only to realize she is a bloodthirsty vampire and ballerina. It stars Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, Kevin Duran, Kathryn Newton, Angus Cloud, William Catlett, Alisha Weir, and Giancarlo Esposito. I just noticed how many vampire movies I don't own, which is all of them, except for Dracula. So starting off with the highs, this movie is made by the same people who wrote and created Ready or Not and the last two Scream movies, Scream 5 and Scream 6. And it shows, because just like those other ones, this one is so much fun. It's clever and slick. It's got good screenwriting. It's just an all-around good time while freshening up old tropes from things that we've already seen a ton and we thought we couldn't get any new material out of, and now suddenly we can. One of the really big things I actually really liked about this movie was that instead of just getting right into the vampire stuff, which obviously we knew from the trailer and the premise of the movie, they actually really took their time with the story before even introducing that. A majority of the beginning of this movie is actually Abigail, before she reveals what she really is, turning the group on each other. And they did like that for a really long time, to the point where I was really invested in that and almost kind of forgot what the movie was really about. By the time they actually got into the vampire stuff, I almost was like, man, I kind of want to see what would have happened if we kept going with this. So they really took their time to build the foundation, especially for the characters and their group dynamic. And that really, really helped, because then, you know, while it's just this monster in the house thing, once that, you know, is let out of the bag, well, now the thing that's going to carry the movie is the relationships between the people in the crew. And it is fun to watch these characters. They're very interesting. They're very funny. They've just got all different really cool personalities. And it's fun to see how they kind of, you know, interact off of each other and kind of helping each other as allies while also kind of picking each other apart. And generally it is just really weird because these people are kidnappers. They took a little girl. They obviously didn't know what she was at first. And yet we still kind of feel for them at parts in this movie. It's really interesting because they just layered them so well with all this backstory and motivation. You know, you got Melissa Barrera, who I think, honestly, out of the three movies that I've seen her in Scream 5, 6, and this one, this was definitely her best. It seemed like she really had a hold of this character. She was like kind of the group leader, but obviously she has her own problems. Dan Stevens plays an absolute slime ball. And I've never seen him play anything like that. Like, he's obviously played, like, very serious roles. Some funny, some... It's actually, now that I think about it, he's kind of played, like, all types of things. But in this one, he was really interesting because he is technically the leader of the group, even though Melissa Barrera's character kind of steps in as that. And he's just such an asshole, and it was really interesting to see him play something like that. And everybody else who fills in the rest of the crew, they just really brought everything, you know, that these actors usually bring to these roles. Kathryn Newton being like this ditzy hacker, which is an interesting oxymoron to actually have as a character, somebody who's a hacker. They're really good with computers, but they're still kind of ditzy, and she was obviously very great as that. And I just have to say, she's been in 2 movies this year, both of which have been creature feature movies. And she's been a prominent, like, main character, and some of the stuff that happens to her in both of these movies are exactly the same. I also feel like I've seen Kevin Durant somewhere. No, I don't mean that I think he's Kevin Durant, and I really, really liked him. He played, you know, just like your stereotypical muscular but no brains guy, but they really go into that. His biggest feature is that he is caring, and he does care about people. He's kind of like Drax, actually. He reminds me a lot about Drax. And along with the characters and the story, there's just so many twists that happen that I genuinely didn't expect to happen in both the story and the plot, but also in how you feel about certain characters. It's also just a really, really great Halloween-esque movie to watch around the season because of it being a creature feature, monster in the house, creepy opera music taking place in an eerie but cool candlelit mansion that they're trapped inside. It's one of those movies that if you're good at writing these kinds of things, you really can't go wrong as long as you make it have like a cool setting, a cool tone, give it some cool aesthetic stuff. And they did. Just the production design of this movie was really, really cool as well. Also, I just have to give it to Alisha Weir, who plays Abigail. I didn't genuinely think I would be scared of her in this movie. I didn't think I would be scared of anything in this movie. I just thought it'd be fun. She was pretty terrifying. It wasn't even just the shrieks or the chasing or how bloodthirsty and how hard they went with the violence and the gore in this one, or from that matter, the fact that this tiny girl is swearing and calling people things that I'm not even going to repeat on here, even for Kappa. But she was just genuinely such a good actress. And she's only 14. In fact, I actually thought she was younger, but she was really good. There's one scene in particular where she steals the spotlight. I mean, she's so good. Why is the new horror trope just creepy girls dancing? I do have one middle with this movie, and I can't go into it too much because it's a kind of a big spoiler, but it's actually funny enough, something that I find with Baby Driver as well, which is a weird comparison to make, I know. But there's this video that whenever I inevitably talk about Baby Driver, I'm going to bring it up, where somebody said that they aren't quite sure about who they made the final villain of the movie in Baby Driver. And I tend to agree with that one. And it's sort of felt the same, not to the extent of in Baby Driver, but a little bit in this one, where they have this big twist and kind of someone else becomes like the final boss of the movie. And I wasn't quite sure how I felt about it. I thought for the most part it was okay. It works with the themes and the character, dynamics and everything that they were setting up. So I think it does work, but it seemed a little bit out of left field. It seemed a little bit like we're really turning around this whole thing. So it wasn't like a bad thing, but it caught me off guard. And my only low with the movie is actually kind of around that same time in the movie, is the ending does go on a little bit too long. You know how like in action sequences and fights, there's always like a pause and then there's more fighting and then they're like, okay, let's do this again. And then there's more fighting. It kind of goes up and down like that because there's like lulls and then, action again. It felt like there was like one to two too many of those. But other than that, it was great. So overall, Abigail is definitely one of the best horror movies to come out this year. And I wouldn't say it's far from the scariest one. I mean, it's more so a fun one, but it's a fun horror. That's the part of it, is you're there to have fun and be entertained. And it's definitely one of the best because of that aspect, because it doesn't take itself incredibly seriously, but it is clever. It's interesting. And I really want to see what else these guys are going to do, because they just write such good horror movies that aren't just about the scares, but about the characters and the story underneath as well. And they're entertaining. I'm going to give Abigail a 3.5 out of 4. Well, guys, let me know what you thought of Abigail in the comments below. Also, I didn't get to do a review of The First Omen, which is what I was originally going to do before I saw Abigail, but I do just want to say, just very quickly, go see The First Omen. I was really surprised at how good it was. After seeing like Exorcist Believer and Evil Dead Rise, there's a lot of these, it's been like prequels or sequels of, slasher horrors that haven't been as good lately or terrible. And this one was actually like really good. I mean, it was creepy. It had this tone about it that was really good. The acting was just all around amazing, especially by Nell Tiger-Free in a bunch of scenes, but particularly in one. And it was genuinely scary. Yes, for this. But there is another scene in which it's been a while since I've had to completely cover the screen, except for maybe like a corner. Go see The First Omen as well. I just want to put that out there because I really, really liked it, but I wanted to do Abigail because it's more of a Halloween type movie. Also, just real quick announcement. It's kind of funny that I'm making this on the Halloween in April video because it's terrifying me to my core. I'm moving out. Either this video or the next one are going to be the last that you're going to see of this little space until I, move it and make it exactly the same in the other building and you won't even know. But yeah, so I'm moving out. So fun stuff. I'm really excited. I got a lot to do. As you can tell just from this, I have a lot of shit. Keep me in your thoughts and prayers. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and Halloween right in the middle. I'll see you guys later.